Hello, everyone. Yes, good day. It's me again, ODANE'S. And what we want to look on today is young people entering the working world. And what we want to look at is entering the working world. Why? Why is it so hard? Why am I not being successful at some of these interviews? Maybe you can conclude that they just don't like you, they just see you and hate you at first sight, or they just want to get at work for their friends. What else? They just don't like you for some reason. But in reality, if you look at those reasons and use those reasons to shy away from opportunity, you will not get far. And what I want to do in this session is to really make people more aware of some of the areas that they need to look at when applying for a job, and also some of the things that they need to know to better prepare themselves for interviews. The working world is not something that you will be ready for at a glance. You never really prepare or will be prepared to master an interview at the initial stage of your career. And all of this comes through experience. And from all of these interviews that you may have gone through and have and wasn't successful, you have gained some experience through it. And what that do, that help you to better prepare yourself for the next upcoming opportunity or opportunities. So what we want to look at today is how to better prepare yourself and how to be successful in those interviews. So today, I mentioned earlier in a previous video is that companies companies don't just want to employ people for employment's sake. They want to employ people because they have a problem and they need a solution for that problem. So out of their problem, they're looking for a solution and they want to see the best person who is capable enough to provide that solution to them. Good companies don't just turn away people because they believe that this person doesn't look nice or whatever it may be. That's not the case. They're looking for a particular quality. And if you don't have those qualities, it not necessarily mean that you are not capable. It simply means that maybe you're just not the type of person that they're looking for to represent that, and you may better fit somewhere else. So that's why it's good to keep trying and also try different areas, because a company is not looking for you doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a good candidate. It just means that you're not an ideal candidate for that work. And it's good to also understand yourself and know where your passion lie, and also work yourself in those areas and go for your passion. Don't just try things because you just want to learn something. I know it can be very strenuous in Jamaica where it push you to some desperate means where you just try to learn anything, but in reality it's good to try to specialize in something that you have a passion for and work yourself towards it, because that passion is what can I use to sell yourself and motivate you to be a better candidate in that area. Alright, so first what I want to start with is preparing yourself for any job area that you are interested in, that you see as a potential avenue for you to apply for. Don't just take it slightly to say, I see this post, let me just send something out and try it and see if it's successful. Don't take it that simple. It's not that simple. And it's not that it's something that is hard or challenging. It's just that it's something that requires time and requires for you to do some research. When you see that job post and you're interested in it and it's something you're interested in, You see it as an opportunity, whether it's a stepping stone or something to push you further to your attaining your full career potential or whatever it may be. It's something you really need to take seriously. And what you're gonna do, the first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna prepare your resume. And when you're preparing your resume, make sure you go online and do your research, find out what this job is about. It's not about trying to put your resume together to look good. It's about doing your research about that job. Find out what that job entails, what are the challenges in those roles, what people who are actually looking for a person in those roles, what are the qualities they are looking for. And with that, it can better help you to tailor your resume to fit that particular job. And when I say tailor your resume, I'm not talking about making up stuff to look good. I'm talking about looking for the qualities that you possess that will help you to to portray the personal capabilities that you have to deliver in that role. Not to just make up things and drop on your resume. Else what will happen is that when they ask you interview question and you have to provide some supportive answer for what you have written on paper, it will not coincide, and they wonder if you borrow someone's resume or something like that. You don't want that to happen. You want to put real stuff. So you're gonna look in yourself based on your experience, based on areas that you may work in, to see where you get it. When was there an opportunity that you were able to exercise some of those capabilities that they're looking for? And once you get those, you document it and tailor it to match that organization, and you put your resume together. Sometimes you'll realize that there is nothing you can find to align yourself with this job. Maybe that's mean that it's maybe not a job for you, but not worth trying. But look at these things first, and you don't want to just try to apply everywhere like that. You want to put the time in and ensure that wherever you're applying, you put some time and some research into it, because this will be a case where you are maybe you're shunning your opportunities. You're making it difficult for you to when the actual opportunity may exist within that organization. You may have a challenge to apply or reapply for that right post. But you want to find something that's very aligned with what you want and what you see your career path leading towards. So now that you have looked for those quality, those experience that you have, and you put them together on your resume, you submit your resume. When you submit your resume, if the opportunity is there for you to follow up with the company, to ask them if they get your resume or find out and such forth, do those communication. Because companies looking for a person who is really interested in the job and will push the extra mile to get the job. That means they're serious. Because what a company don't want, a company have to invest in employment. It's not something that they just call someone and that's it. It costs them. That's why whenever they lose an employee, it's an impact on the employer side, because they have to refinance to ensure that they put back the posts out there, pay for advertisement, and set up the whole recruiting process, go through the whole screening process. All of that is an expense to the company. So they want to ensure that they're getting person who are serious, and that person who seems to be like, let me see if this will work. I think I may like it. Once they get that, they don't want you. When you will not be successful at that job, you have to have the ego to be a part of that company. So now that you get your resume out there and it's out there now, and let's say luckily they read it and they find it attractive, they may call you in for an interview. One of the things though, when you send a resume out, don't just sit back and wait for a call before you actually prepare for that interview. Because normally they call you maybe 2 days before. You don't want to just use that time. What you want to do in the interim is to find out, do your research, further research to understand what this role entails. You may want to do a little find an online assessment that may cover the job. So if they should call you for to do an assessment, or send you a link to do an assessment first, you kind of have a little knowledge as to how to better address those questions that may be on the assessment. So that's something you want to do as well. Next, you will find that when they do call you for an interview and you go into that interview, you need to prepare yourself for that interview by doing your research. Find out about the company, find out about the history of the company, whatever information you can find. If you know someone who worked there, you make sure you see if you can liaise with that person to find out a few stuff. You don't have to find out certain information like what salary person is earning here and there, as you know those are confidential stuff, and you don't want to maybe find out too much things that will impact you in that interview by disclosing something that you shouldn't be savvy of. So those are some of the things you have to be very mindful of. But what you want to do, you want to find out about the history of the company. And the next big thing, other than the history, is the goal, where the company is going. Because where the company is going is very critical for an organization, especially at the strategic level. You want to know what the company goals are. And as I said earlier in a previous video, is that these goals that the company have, everything sum up to that. The whole employment structure, organization, where the company is going, the employee itself, they have them geared towards making that a reality. So when you make sure you're preparing for these interviews, make sure you align yourself with those things. As I mentioned earlier, is that companies, the only reason why they want you as an employee in their company is to solve problem. So you also have to look at this role, and when you look at this role, you can say what problem exists, what are the challenges exist in this role. Let me sell myself in this interview by telling them how I can be a solution. You're selling yourself as a solution to that problem. And in doing so, you have to make the employee know that use a reference. You don't just say, I'm good at this and I'm good at that and all of that. And you have to use real experience. You now have to tell yourself that, tell them that you work on this project, and while you were working on this project, I was able to achieve this, I was able to attain this, I was able to transform this project, I was able to transform this organization to meet this, whatever the field may be. You need to give examples of when you were able to achieve some of the things they are looking for, the objectives of the company. As it's very critical that you sell yourself in a way where you're providing a solution for whatever problem they may have. The next thing, you don't want to come off desperate as it relates to you'll do anything for this job and you just want to sound good for this job. You want to be real about it. You want to gear your passion at you developing yourself, you growing. You have known so much, but you still see room for improvement. And getting this job will give you an opportunity to really exercise those talent and further learn more. So you want to let them know that you're able to provide solution and you're willing to grow. They want people who is willing to grow and be flexible. So you want to make sure you bring out those things in your interview. And next thing in the interview, always practice your soft skills and then make sure you know you're right. You dress appropriately, because that's very critical as well, because presentable. You have to be presentable for your interview. You want to make sure you dress formal, you go online and you do your research to see what's appropriate dressing for different types of interview. One of the good things to do also is to develop a portfolio. So any project you work on and such for, you make sure you develop a portfolio for it, or even if you have a business case or something, whatever it may be, you put that portfolio together and you travel with it and you use it as a reference. Companies love that. Yeah, so those are some tips, some very helpful tips that will help you in interview. There are many more, but just bear in mind that those ones that are shared are some that will really push you to be successful. And one of the key things also, preparing for an interview is nothing to recite word for word. So don't find yourself going through questions online and just trying to find an answer that fit this question. It's about looking at that question, see how it applied to you, see how it applied to the job itself, and how you see yourself fit and apply, give that answer. Don't try to find a exact word and recite it for that answer. Try to understand that question and come up with an answer that defines you. One of the next thing to note is that always follow up with the company. The company may you may not hear from them, may apply and it's been maybe 2 weeks you don't hear anything. You can always feel free to reach out to the HR and let them know that you were at an interview and you're just following up to know if you were successful, and even if you are not successful, you want to also ask the organization for a little tips or a little feedback, because that's help, because it's not to say that the company didn't take me and this company is like no good and I just don't want to have anything else to do with that company. That's not the case. You have to understand that this world is very competitive and you're gonna have candidate who's gonna better fit that position or who may better fit that position. And sometimes it's because maybe you're limited in some areas. So by them open up to you to let you know exactly what were some of your downfall, it give you an opportunity to work on yourself to better prepare yourself for a next interview. So always feel open to any feedback that a company may provide. The next thing also is in the interview. In an interview, you may have several interviews. You may have, and not say several, you may have a panel, you may have 3 interviews to go through with different manager and maybe the team leads, or it may comprise of up to 3 interviews. So what you want to do, you want to ensure that you be consistent throughout those interviews. So therefore you may even ask some question twice because you're in a new panel and you believe that you have already answered it some time ago in the previous interview, so you may not need to address it or address it the same way, but be consistent because they look for that as well. And ensure that you have your example, you use example to sell yourself. Don't just say you're a good person or you do this good or you're able to do this good. Give a real example because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for persons who actually do things and persons who say they can do things. And just added the pointer outside of this that I shared in the next video is that whenever you're young and you're just starting out, always invest in your experience. Always spend some time and be a part of any charity or provide voluntary service, because those voluntary services are what sell you. They give you an opportunity, because if you want some opportunity, you have to land the job first to get that opportunity. But if you're not able to land a job to get you those opportunities, to gain those experience, you volunteering in some areas will provide that experience to you. So always be open to help. And it also widen your scope of, widen your network. So therefore you're now networking with a lot of persons in the business world who may know someone who they can refer you to. Because reference is a very critical thing. You want your reference to be someone who actually knows you and someone who actually knows your work and your capabilities. And this sometimes can only be attained through a little work experience or through voluntary service. Someone may have a small business, they may cannot afford to employ someone full-time in a particular role, but you can volunteer to provide that help, and through that help you can gain some experience here and there, and you have that person to use as a solid reference. So ensure that it's not just all about money in your early stages, but it's about widening your experience and building your network. So that's it basically for preparing for an interview and job opportunity. And feel free to leave a comment and share your feedback or your experience and your intervention in these areas. I know everyone out there should have some form of experience that they believe they could have sell themselves better or do something different that maybe would make them successful. All right, so have a nice day, everyone.